Hello everyone. Today we are going to study chapter 3, Alexander the Great, who is never satisfied, a 4th century king. Let's read about the author. Wilbur D. Nesbitt, 1827 to 1921, was a poet and humorist who lived in the US towards the end of the 19th century. He was a journalist and editor as well as a prolific means productive or creative writer of humorous means funny or comic poems. His most well-known poem is Your Flag and My Flag. These are the terms you will come across through the poem. So let's read. Not, brandished, defiantly, clamored, hammerlock hold, relic, bacillus, versatile, cable, dolefulness. So let's start the poem. Alexander the Great was a victim of fate, and he sighed there was naught to delight him when he brandished his sword and defiantly rode and could not get a country to fight him. As per the poet, Alexander was a great and mighty king, whom nobody could defeat in the war against him. He was a great and brave fighter. Whenever he swayed his sword and openly challenged others, no one dared to fight him. Next stanza. All the armies he had chased, all the lands laid to waste, and he clamored for further diversions, and our history speaks of his grip on the Greeks and his hammerlock hold on the Persians. Means Alexander was fearless. He enjoyed fighting, and it is depicted by the lines, all the armies he chased and all the lands laid to waste, clearly shows he did not hesitate to fight. In our history, we can read about his grip over Greeks and about his hammerlock hold over Persians. Next stanza. Though the Gordian knot cut in two in a spot, in his palace was labelled a relic, though Bacillus stuffed gave him fame he was huffed. He was grouchy and grumpy was Alec. Means there was a relic in his palace on which it was written, even when both Alexander and his horse Bacillus were exhausted or extremely tired, they still had the courage to cut the Gordian knot in a spot, which means they were able to solve any critical or difficult situation at any time. Next stanza. And the cause of his woe, he would have you to know, was the fact that he never was able to conduct a big scrap that a versatile chap of a war correspondent could cable. Next, instead of being quite glad, he would grow very sad when he told of the fellows who had fought him, as he thought of the lack of the clicking Kodak in the hands of a man to snapshot him. We are told that he wept and in dolefulness crept through his palace. The reason is hinted. There was not at that time magazines for a dime, and his articles could not be printed. Very humorously, the poet has stated in these 3 paragraphs that the king was sad because he could not get publicity, as there was no photos or medias to show him to the world. Dime means a 10-cent coin, means there was not the magazines available to show off his accomplishments. Next stanza. Though it may seem unkind, ere means before, his life we have outlined. We must say in some ways he was hateful, and in truth we have heard he went back on his sword and was not Alexander the Grateful. And ironically, the poet is speaking that he was not Alexander the Grateful, for he never kept his words. Yet it may seem unkind while thinking about his life, we can say in some ways he was hateful. So, this was the explanation of the poem. You can see from picture, you can understand the meaning of hammerlock holt. The next word is relic. And here you can see the picture of Alexander on his horse Basiphilus. Thank you.